Hi, my name is Michelle, and I'm a junior at SAS, and today you're going to hear a little bit about my story. I stand up here today as a survivor. Not as a survivor of cancer or a survivor of a car accident,
but a survivor of self-deprecation. I survived the eating disorder anorexia nervosa. That's me. Growing up as a competitive figure skater, I was always told to watch my figure. I was always told that you can only eat dinner before 5 p.m. or you can only eat fruits and yogurt for dinner, or you have to run 40 times around the track even after a rigorous ice skating practice, or no more matcha green tea cakes, no more ice cream, no more burgers, no more fries. And to me, this was not a healthy sport environment, because on the ice, I fell over and over and over again, carrying my bruises and scrapes with me as if they were my keepsakes. My coach would always tell me, practice makes perfect, and she would tell me to do my jumps and my spins over and over and over again. I remember once after I fell after a really hard jump, the first thing my coach came up to me and said was, "Michelle, have you been eating too many snacks?" To me, there was a dissociation. How could the quality of a jump that I did have to do with how much I ate? How? And so this sport environment soon became one no longer based on the competition of one's jumps and spins, but became a competition around the sizes of people's waists and thighs. The summer before freshman year, I skated hard. I had just landed one of the most prestigious jumps. I was actually Shanghai's first ever person to land the most prestigious jump of an amateur ice skater, the double axel. And being one who used to eat only what was MSG not free, and what was sugar not free, and what was oil not free, and being one who used to hide snacks in her mother's basement to avoid getting scolded by her mother, I decided to change things up. I deprived myself over and over and over again, because in my mind, practice made perfect. That's what my coach told me, right? And soon enough, I fell into something horrible. I resorted to eating as a coping mechanism. It started off with more vegetables, less everything else. Practice makes perfect. Then it turned into less vegetables, less everything else. Practice makes perfect. Then it turned into more gym, less vegetables, less everything else. Practice makes perfect. I would tell my friends I was eating out with my parents, and tell my parents I was eating out with my friends, while I ran into a room and chewed on nothing but my own nails. Practice makes perfect. I was a social outcast, a pariah. Practice makes perfect. There were times when I stood on my balcony floor looking down at my first floor, ready to take my own life. "21 beats per minute. My heartbeat dropped to 21 beats per minute. I would cry every single day and go to sleep that day not knowing if I would see the next. See, I deprive myself in order to survive. Think about that for a second. I deprived myself in order to live. I would look at myself in the mirror and immediately point to that extra layer of fat on my stomach, on my thighs, on my face. It became a game of hide and seek. I saw food only in categories and calories. My worth became so agonizingly measurable. And soon enough, 3 months into the start of 2015, my freshman year, I had reverted back to my weight in 7th grade. But don't worry. Well, first off, anorexia nervosa is one of the deadliest mental disease in this world. People often associate it with aspirations to meet unrealistic beauty standards, or to fit into a certain mold, or to practice this exercise of self-control. But what they don't see in the 8 million people in the United States diagnosed with eating disorders, with 1/3 of them receiving treatment, 1/3 of them remaining chronically ill, and 1/3 of them dying, is that these people are not just simply triggered by a picture they see on the magazine or a post they see on WeChat. They're triggered by their loss of self-worth. Self-worth. My worth had to be bought by the numbers on a scale. But don't worry. This story doesn't just end in numbers. Thankfully, I was one of the 1/3 of the population that was able to receive treatment. And I wouldn't have been able to do it if it weren't for some people. I was able to meet a life-saving doctor. She was able to push me over and over and over again because she told me that practice makes perfect. And I gotta tell you, I didn't like being told what to eat. I didn't like being told what to do, but she kept me on track. My family and friends, I want to thank, because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have people texting me, calling me every single day, making sure I was okay. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have the encouragement to build myself up and to rebuild my image, my shape, my character. But I learned that at the end of the day, despite all support systems, it comes down to yourself. You are the one who breaks down those mental barriers. You are the one who keeps yourself on track. You're the one who sets your own goals. And so you may ask, what practical steps did I take every single day? What did I do every single day to slowly recover and slowly gain back my life? Well, for you guys, I have 6 steps in ways that I practiced every single day to improve my well-being and improve my happiness. So, it's 8 a.m. You just wake up from bed. You're about to go to work, you're about to go to school. Wake up, look up in the sky and tell yourself, I'm grateful. I am grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be a human being. I'm so grateful to be able to feel, to touch, to see, to smell. And then step number 2. Make your own bed. You know, studies show, I don't have any numbers, but studies show that making your bed actually improves the overall efficiency of your day. And with that, you'll start off as a clean slate. You'll take all the junk out of your system, and then you go to your mirror to wash your face. As you're washing your face, look at yourself in the mirror. I know this is cliche, but look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you're beautiful. I know this practice we don't commonly do, but trust me, if you add this simple exercise into your daily lives, it will work. Step 4, walk out. Go to work, walk with confidence, because when you own yourself, that's when you're the most self-accepting. That's when you're the most beautiful. And as you enter work or your classroom setting, and people start throwing negative comments at you, walk away, because you don't need that kind of negativity in your life. Now, step number 6, as you're about to go back to sleep, with your bed sheets covered over you, reflect on your day. Think to yourself why you're so grateful. List 3 things that you are grateful of for that day. One of my friends even created a happiness chart. What happens is that every day after she comes home, she colors in the mood of her day. You could do that too. It's only when you stir up those emotional human connections inside of you that you'll come full circle and realize how grateful you are for being alive. Now, you may ask, why is a 16-year-old girl so brave enough to come on to this TEDx stage to share her own story? It's because I've grown to love myself. It's because I've grown to self-accept. You see, once you become someone who loves yourself, you start to put others before you. You start to prioritize other people's happiness before yours. Over the summer, I was able to go to the US to an eating disorders resource center, and I was able to volunteer there. I gave speeches, sat in on discussions, and I met people with a range of eating disorders, including bulimia, anorexia nervosa, and binge eating. It was so eye-opening. So eye-opening to the point that after I came back, I decided to start my own nonprofit organization called Project Magnify. And what this nonprofit organization does is it campaigns for people who are struggling with body image or eating disorders here in Shanghai, given that we are so unaware of the things that happen here. I just want to tell you guys that 6 steps led me to this stage today, and 6 steps can lead you to your own. You see, the same discipline that brought me down is now the same discipline that's bringing me back up. And at the end of the day, after you grow to love yourself, you'll realize that everything is worth it. It doesn't really matter what stage you are at in accepting yourself. Just know that your journey begins today. Thank you.
List 3 things that you're grateful for that day. One of my friends even created a happiness chart. What happens is that every day after she comes home, she colors in the mood of her day. You could do that too. It's only when you stir up those emotional human connections inside of you that you'll come full circle and realize how grateful you are for being alive. Now, you may ask, why is a 16-year-old girl so brave enough to come on to this TEDx stage to share her own story? It's because I've grown to love myself. It's because I've grown to self-accept. You see, once you become someone who loves yourself, you start to put others before you. You start to prioritize other people's happiness before yours. Over the summer, I was able to go to the US to an eating disorders resource center, and I was able to volunteer there. I gave speeches, sat in on discussions, and I met people with a range of eating disorders, including bulimia, anorexia nervosa, and binge eating. It was so eye-opening. So eye-opening to the point that after I came back, I decided to start my own nonprofit organization called Project Magnify. And what this nonprofit organization does is it campaigns for people who are struggling with body image or eating disorders here in Shanghai, given that we're so unaware of the things that happen here. I just want to tell you guys that 6 steps led me to this stage today, and 6 steps can lead you to your own. You see, the same discipline that brought me down is now the same discipline that's bringing me back up. And at the end of the day, after you grow to love yourself, you'll realize that everything is worth it. It doesn't really matter what stage you are at in accepting yourself. Just know that your journey begins today. Thank you.